coffee. I just wanted to get a drink of my coffee before we get started. Sorry. Awkward silences are always punk rock. Let's set this over here a little bit. I figured every Star Wars thing starts with something like that, so might as well. This month's theme is punk. And it's ironic because 8:30 is the least punk time to do anything. And the best thing about doing a punk rock talk like this is if I fuck it up, it's punk rock, right? I mean, I'm not a writer, so this may get weird and scattered. Once again, that's kind of punk rock, right? I mean, scattered and weird, it's fine. So bear with me, my kind creative morning friends. I chose these words, punk is not dead, as the title for my talk. I'm just gonna like move this over here a little bit. And can I move this down a little bit? Sorry, there we go. Hey, hi. Oh, that feels so much more comfortable. Oh, yes. Oh my gosh, this is like, oi, oi. All right. Okay. I chose these words, punk is not dead, as the title for my talk today, because as I was gathering materials to write this talk, I kept seeing these words, punk is not dead. It got me thinking, is it? Some true music scholars would argue that the music might be, but I don't even believe that. Through writing this, I immersed myself in punk music. And there is, for sure, really great punk music out there today. There's a lot of it in the zine that I made that you all got a copy of. Each one is a QR code. You just put your camera on it. It'll take you to some music on YouTube. Stuff that I listened to while I was kind of getting this all ready. And then I discovered a lot of cool stuff. So, but is punk dead? I say no fucking way. All right, well, this would be a good time to put this out there before we really begin. You're gonna be hearing the word fuck today, probably several times. And I think it's important to understanding the punk culture to say the word fuck. So on the count of three, we're all gonna say the word fuck. 1, 2, 3, fuck! Ah, that felt good. I tend to use it too much, and I know it can, make you sound uneducated, but fuck it, right? If this offends you in any way, congratulations, you've learned your first lesson in the ways of punk. Punk doesn't care what you think and is there to resist and be a fly in the ointment of society and conformity. So what is punk? Punk rock is performance art, plain and simple. They might not be the best technical musicians, but they make up for it in getting the message out there. The message is more important than anything. I'm not a musician myself, but I've been friends with a lot of them over the years. But, oh, sorry. Public speaking, this is fun. I'm not a musician myself, but have been friends with a lot of them. And around 2009, myself, my friend Cliff, and some other musicians found ourselves at an open mic night at Finnegan's Pub in Plainfield, Illinois. There was this kid there maybe 20 years old, and he played the Stratocaster like Stevie Ray Vaughan. Um, it was amazing. He even ended the night with the Star Spangled Banner, just like Jimi Hendrix at Woodstock. I imagine this young guy playing along at home with his recording of Stevie and just rewinding it and playing it back and and doing it just how Jimmy and Stevie would do it. I was in total awe of this kid's technical talent. I asked my friend, who was an amazing musician in his own right, Cliff, I said, "What'd you think of the performance?" And he said, he looked at me, took a drag of his cigarette, and he said, "It's kind of sad, but that kid don't have 1 ounce of the blues in him." Then I realized exactly what he was saying. He was a technical player, this kid. He could hit the notes, but there was absolutely nothing behind it. Soul. Stevie Ray Vaughan himself has been quoted as saying, "It's not the notes you play, it's the time between the notes." Punk has soul. Punk emotes. You feel it in your gut. If you don't put on "I Want to Be Your Dog" by the Stooges and you don't have a visceral reaction when you listen to it, then there's something wrong with you. The sound of punk has been around since the late 1960s, early 70s. Bands like MC5, the Stooges, New York Dolls, Ramones, The Clash, all set the stage for a cultural revolution. These bands were like, fuck you if you don't like me, I don't like you, and I'm not gonna pretend to like you. They even described punk as a total assault on the culture by any means necessary, including rock and roll, dope, and fucking in the streets. It's loud, it's in your face, it hits hard and fast, and is relentless in its message of anarchy. It's standing up for what you believe in and not backing down. It was sex, drugs, violence, and sometimes in that order. It was crude and weird and flawed, but brought inner freedom. But that punk rock attitude that they pioneered for a whole generation is actually much older, and I would say it's been around as long as there's been people. In 1598, the artist Caravaggio broke artistic conventions and rebelled against the established art world. That's punk rock. Johnny Cash went to the White House when asked by President Nixon and sang a song he wrote for the occasion denouncing the Vietnam War right to the president's face. That's punk rock. That song, "What is Truth," that he wrote for that is in the zine, so if you want to go listen. George Lucas. Well, that was him. Everybody knows who he is. That's George Lucas. It'd be weird if that was George Lucas. Um, George Lucas would take a chance on trying something completely new and unheard of. He took that chance, invested his own money when he could, and defied the studio system of Hollywood. He took back artist representation, created Lucasfilm and another company called Industrial Light and Magic. He invested in film technology, not just for his own personal gain, but to build tools so his other film friends could make their own cinematic dreams come true. Punk rock, that is. This talk is not a comprehensive look at punk rock music. There are documentaries and books out there for that. My take on this word, is using the ethos of punk and establishment, nonconformity, taking a DIY approach, and then how to apply that as a driving force for your own creativity. And since we're on the subject of Star Wars, is Star Wars punk? Well, the answer is yes. And we'll just fucking move on. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. We're gonna get into it. Everything always comes back to Star Wars for me. It's where, excuse me, it's where a lot of my frame of reference comes from, and it's a handy trait when you have a Star Wars podcast. The line from punk to Star Wars leads right to rebellion. The tyrannical imperial emperor takes a hold of the government, twists it for his own gain and power, takes over the galaxy, while the lesser known life forms scrape to get by, looking for a shimmering light of hope, wanting prosperity and equality. Sound familiar to anybody? Rebellions are built on hope. But let's not forget about Darth Vader, my second favorite Star Wars character. Hey, he was the physically powerful form of the dark side, the muscle for the scrawny old emperor. He was also a Sith Lord. The Sith code reads, peace is lie, is a lie. Peace is a lie. Oh my God, it's so stupid. Peace is a lie. There's only passion. Through passion, I gain strength. Through strength, I gain power. Through pain, I gain victory. Through victory, my chains are broken. The force shall free me. Sounds pretty punk rock to me. But also sounds like darkness prevails and punk rock stands up against that. Vader has gone down the dark path, but his son Luke always believes there's good in it. He's literally the only one who believes he's still good. Both Obi-Wan and Yoda both tell him to destroy his father. But he can't, because he knows there's good in him and there's truth there. At the end of Return of the Jedi, the Emperor is about to destroy Luke. Spoilers. Vader finds in himself the courage to defy the Emperor and save Luke's life. He throws the Emperor over the railing and into a big pit where he dies. Well, the Emperor actually, he ends up not dying and coming back in a really bad movie. But let's not get too far off track. That choice to choose the light and save his son, and the son saves the point is Vader saves his son, and the son saves the father. I used to think that Return of the Jedi just meant Luke returning to another Star Wars adventure. But I think it's actually the return of Anakin Skywalker as a Jedi with his last action as a man and as a father. So now that you know that I'm a big Star Wars nerd, I'd like to share a little more about myself. I'm an artist. I've always been one. I couldn't stop if I wanted to. This is me in 1983, drawing at the coffee table, which was my bliss station. A place where I could be in my own head and create. I wasn't the best student, and later would be lucky if I could get a D in my classes so I wasn't held back a year. I had report cards that always read, attitude problem, and has the ability to complete tasks but doesn't apply himself. I just wanted to draw. I drew on everything. My shoes, my jeans, my jacket, other people's shoes, jeans, and jackets. My childhood was filled with instability and inconsistency. It was just me and my mom, no father. We were dirt poor. And sometimes we'd sleep in our car when we had one, just to get by. One day at a time, surviving. If it wasn't for government programs like welfare and food stamps, we would have been on the streets or worse. We moved around central Iowa, where I'm from, like nomads when I was a kid, sometimes moving 2 to 3 times in a school year. Speaking of school, nobody ever knew my name, so I was always the new kid. And as soon as I made a friend or two, we were moving to another town, another school, another set of obstacles. I fucking hated it all. But music, and of course Star Wars, was an escape. But I was growing angry. And with all that hate and angst, I was being drawn to a certain type of music. A music that fueled me. A a music that excited me. That music was of the time and was, of course, hair metal. Hair metal. You thought I was going to say punk, didn't you? The punk scene of the 1980s didn't hit small town Iowa very hard at all. Radio friendly bands like Warrant, Poison, Skid Row, Guns N' Roses were my first look at anything that even remotely resembled counterculture. Long haired dudes with tattoos. The first time I heard Anarchy in the UK, it wasn't by the British rock band the Sex Pistols. It was a very generic, terrible cover by Motley Crue. But I did kind of like that song. And I seeked out the original and liked the Sex Pistols version way better. My hair metal days were over, and I started listening to bands like Devo, Talking Heads, Joan Jett, and Blondie, which weren't punk bands per se, but punk rock adjacent. I rebelled hard. I really hated people telling me what to do. In high school, I was a theater kid who loved to be funny and do absolutely nothing. My mom, the nomad, moved away and left me to fend for myself when I was 17. I had to drop out. For a summer, I lived in a van. It wasn't down by a river. Um, Mom had abandoned me, and honestly, I liked it that way. I was free to do whatever I wanted, when I wanted. I was surviving, and in the next few years, I'd work these dumb jobs and draw until the early morning, and then get up at 9 o'clock a.m., rinse and repeat, and do it all over again. I was married by 21 and started a family, but still wanted to do something with what I loved, drawing. So after a excuse me, sorry, after a layoff at the Maytag factory in Newton, Iowa, I decided to pursue tattooing. It was a huge leap for me. I had no idea if I could do it. I didn't even know anything about it. I just went for it. The only thing I remember is when I was like 8 or 10 years old, I was at a coffee shop with my grandparents, and I was little, and I saw this old man with this old eagle tattoo on his forearm, and I just remember being like, "That's cool, man! Like a drawing on your body forever. I love that." Um, that memory, and along with wanting to look like my idol Axl Rose someday, um, kind of got me into tattooing. And I love the idea of having my job title be tattoo artist. Artist. I had drive and ambition probably for the first time in my life, and there was a clear path ahead. And like I said before, I just went for it. I was living a DIY, do-it-yourself punk rock attitude and didn't even know it. My dream was realized. Oh, this is Brenda's picture. A mohawk, look at that. So what is the DIY punk method? It's about doing it for yourself, creating an atmosphere of like-minded individuals and creating a community. Being self-reliant and self-sufficient, rejecting the mainstream and paving your own path. Just going for it and having the gumption to seek and destroy. I bet there's a lot of artists out there in the audience right now, right? Artists, if you're an artist, put your, cool. Oi! So all of you that didn't raise your hand, um, this is for you, okay? Um, we all have a dragon inside of us. And not a cool dragon with flames and clouds and a yin-yang symbol covered in tribal or something. A pitiful, pitiful dragon. Like Puff the Magic Dragon, but with no magic. It says things to you like, "You're not good enough." Or he gets you to say it yourself, which is worse. Like, "I could never do that." These are tricks of the mind. And the old adage rings true. You can do anything if you put your mind to it. Picasso said, every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist once we grow up. He also said, it took me 4 years to paint like Raphael, but a lifetime to paint like a child. I have clients and people come to me all the time and they say, I can't draw. I can't even draw a stick figure. And I'm like, really, dude? Really? You can't? It's not hard. It's a circle and 5 lines. It's really not hard to do. A chimp could do it. But I do understand what they're trying to relate. They think their brain just doesn't work that way. That's your dragon talking. You just have to work at it. I'm not saying talent isn't important. It definitely is. But just showing up and giving it your all can make up for little talent. I mean, look at Green Day. Just kidding, just kidding, just kidding, just kidding. I actually like that Time of Our Life song a lot. It's not punk, but it's cool. But seriously, everyone in this room was an artist when they were 3 years old. Society says you should not be doing that. You'll never make any money at that. Drawing little cartoons is all fine and dandy, but have you heard of Bitcoin? Don't you like money? Which is all true, but you don't want to hear that shit, you know? So our inner artist gets crushed. We conform to their ideology and we become an economic battery. But there's hope. We can break the shackles, and you can easily do that by finding your voice. We do that by consuming art. Buy paintings, buy books, go to live music and buy their album. Go to a play, go see stand-up comedy. Consume the art and take it all in. But don't just look at it from the outside looking in. Participate in it. Make the art. Do it yourself. Even if you think it's bad, especially if you think it's bad. I used to draw the same thing over and over again. It would take me a year to paint something, literally. I would paint and destroy, making changes along the way and making it better and better each time I thought. But at the end of the process, I still wasn't happy with it. I just grew tired and more frustrated. And then a tattooer friend said to me, why are you painting the same thing over and over again? So I went into my justification, right? I said, because I want it to look better than the last one. I look back at it and I see all the things I could have done better. So I just start over. I want it to be perfect. He said to me, you need to stop caring what it looks like. Move on. Take the knowledge you learned and apply it to the next painting. Make the thing, don't try and make a perfect thing. There's also a great quote in tattooing that any imperfections only add to its beauty. I believe we all have limitless potential. And adding to our own drive a sense of, fuck you, I'm going to do it my way, is imperative to unlocking all of your creative thoughts. I believe in the muse. I think of her as a real living thing in the universe. She dwells in the ether. And if you can quiet your mind and just start painting, writing, acting, creating, even if it's gibberish, keep doing it and keep your mind open to the possibility of magic happening. The whisper of an idea will enter your mind, and that is her. She also lets you know in your gut, which is great, because your gut feeling will never let you down. And side note, she has tattoos in my world. Punk is not dead. At the beginning, I asked if punk is dead. Is the mentality in punk way dead? Well, punk is not dead. as long as there's humans, and look out from AI because it's gobbling up every art space right now. But as long as there's a kid who rebels against his parents, the words fuck you, and rich people putting their thumbs on the downtrodden and poor, punk rock lives. So go make the art and don't let anything stand in your way.